Staying on the campaign trail for a moment, when it comes to the race to replace Andrew Cuomo as Attorney General, so much of the attention has been focused on the 5 Democrats who are engaged in a very heated primary battle. Meanwhile, while they duke it out, the lone Republican has been touring the state, and today Donovan picked up the backing of the Log Cabin Republicans. This is the leading group of gay and lesbian members of the GOP. Now, the Staten Island District Attorney is joining us tonight from Rochester. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing well, Liz. Thanks. It's great to be with you.
Nice to see you. So this endorsement, I guess not surprising because they are, of course, a Republican group. However, this group is pro-gay marriage, despite the fact that they are Republicans, and you are not pro-gay marriage. So how did that conversation go to get them comfortable to backing you?
Well, when I sat with the members, the leadership in the Log Cabin Republicans, I explained to them that my obligation as Attorney General is to uphold all the laws. In our state right now, we don't have a marriage equality bill that's been signed by the governor. But when that time comes, I will enforce all of those laws and not only protect the rights of those who wish to be married, but I would also take the appropriate action against those who try to interfere with that right. And I believe that the Log Cabin Republicans believe I'm sincere when I speak about that issue, and I think that's why I received their endorsement today. Well,
you also have the endorsement of the Conservative Party, and needless to say, gay marriage isn't exactly a topic that makes conservatives feel happy about voting for their candidates. Don't you think this is a little contradictory in terms of having the endorsement of the Log Cabin Republicans and also the backing of the Conservative Party?
To the contrary, I think what it is it shows that I have appealed to all different avenues and different political viewpoints. I think the Conservative Party and the Log Cabin Republicans all believe that the #1 issue in our state is public corruption, and that they see that I am the best person to confront public corruption in our state. And so I think when people start to speak about social issues, and people are certainly entitled to different points of view, those social issues, that's not really the issues in this upcoming Attorney General's race. People may try to make those the issues to distract from what the real issues are. Our state is in despair right now, Liz. Businesses leave, people are leaving, and the cause of that is the dysfunction, the collusion and the corruption that's in our state government, and that's why I'm going to Albany to take an approach to combat that, to bring faith back in the people and the businesses that have leaving our state and the ones that want to come to our state, faith back in our state that they should do business here in our state. So the social issues, I think, are things that people certainly will disagree upon, but those are red herrings, as we say in the law. Those are not issues that are confronting the state right now. What's confronting the state is public corruption.
Just to be clear, though, you would not recuse yourself if, in fact, gay marriage became law and then was challenged and you had to defend the state. You, in fact, would defend this law if it was passed?
Absolutely, Liz. As the Attorney General, I would take an oath to uphold all of our laws, and I would take the appropriate action to do so. And I think I have a track record in Richmond County of doing that as the district attorney for the last 7 years, and certainly people just have to look at that track record to have the faith that I will do that as Attorney General.
Turning to corruption, which you just brought up, actually, there's an interesting case that you've got before you right now, or an investigation into the Independence Party and its potential quid pro quo involving a 2009 New York City Council race and a $10,000 business loan that was made by a candidate to the wife of a party leader. Where is that right now?
Well, what happened, Liz, is that matter, as you just described it, was brought to my attention. At the time it was brought to my attention, I was actually under consideration for the Independence Party nomination. Because I'm not a member of the Independence Party, I needed their permission to run under their banner this November. What the action I took, and I think this again instills faith in the people that the system works and that I am an honest public servant, I wrote to the chairman of the party and told him that because of my duties to possibly investigate possible wrongdoings in the party, that I was asking them to withdraw my name from nomination. Now, that hurts me politically, Liz. It would certainly be more beneficial to my campaign to have the Independence Party backing and have 3 political lines to run this November. But I'm running on the fact that people need to have faith in their government and their elected leaders. And I think that step that I took gives the people of New York State the faith that I am the honest public servant that they want in Albany as Attorney General. Politically, it would have been better off for me to seek that nomination. But ethically, and morally, and with the oath that I took as the Richmond County District Attorney, I could not see how people could have faith that I would do the right thing in that investigation and at the same time be seeking their nomination. So I took that off the table. I'm no longer seeking their nomination.
Have you issued any subpoenas or done interviews in that case? I mean, where is it in terms of the progression of the investigation?
It's ongoing, Liz. I can't speak about the particulars of the investigation, as you well know, but I could tell you that whatever the conclusion of that investigation is, whether there is no wrongdoing and that's the result of our investigation, or whether there's a criminal prosecution after that investigation is completed, the people will have faith to know that the results of that investigation were based on solely where the facts brought us and not because of my political ambitions.
You know, some of your colleagues, though, your fellow Republicans, are in fact running on the Independence Party line. Actually, Harry Wilson, the state comptroller candidate, comes to mind. Do you think it's appropriate for him to have accepted that, given this, what you just told me about the possibility of corruption and the need for voters to know that candidates are not in any way, shape, or form involved in that?
Well, you know what, Liz? I'm the one that had the conflict of interest. I was the one that had the duty to start an investigation, and at the same time, I was the one that was seeking their nomination. At the time, I believe Mr. Wilson had already received their nomination, as other candidates had, and so that's an individual choice that they'll have to make whether or not they want to run under the Independence Party. But I'm the only candidate that was running for public office that had an actual conflict, that I had a duty to do an investigation and at the same time seeking the nomination of their party. The people in our state have to have faith that I will do the right thing, and I think I took a step in that right direction.
Well, the current Attorney General, actually, Andrew Cuomo, a Democrat who's running for governor, the front runner, he took the Independence Party line, too. You don't think that there's a conflict there? I mean, he is, in fact, the state's top attorney, a position that you're now looking to have.
I think, you know, an individual elected official has to determine whether or not they have a conflict of interest. I having to do this investigation, Mr. Cuomo is not. My office has the duty to perform this investigation, undergo this investigation. So I have a clear conflict of interest, and people have to believe that the results of this investigation are the right results, and results that were brought forth because of the evidence that we had before us, and not because I was seeking someone's nomination. If this ends up in a criminal prosecution, Liz, I can't have people believing that it's only because the Independence Party had not given me the nomination yet. And so this takes it off the paper. This gives the people of New York State a clear indication that Dan Donovan is always going to do what's ethical and what's right in the performance of his duties, despite whether it hurts him politically or not.
You know, one of your Democratic would-be opponents, Eric Dinalo, who used to work in the Attorney General's office and Eliot Spitzer's office, says that he would like Governor Patterson to actually sign an executive order that would give the power to investigate public corruption to the Attorney General, which the Attorney General actually doesn't have now in terms of issuing subpoenas. Do you agree with that?
Well, I agree that when I become the Attorney General, I will be asking whoever the next governor is for that power. Whether or not, you know, someone right now who's running should be asking the governor to give that power to someone who's a sitting Attorney General, I think that's up to the sitting Attorney General to decide whether or not he wants to make that request of the governor. And so I do believe that come November 2nd, if I'm elected, once we take office, I'll be asking the governor, the newly elected governor, for that authority through an executive order to investigate public corruption. But it's up to the current Attorney General whether he wants to ask Governor Patterson for that power right now.
Well, if the next governor is a Democrat and you're a Republican and the Democratic governor refuses that request, what will you do?
Well, I think all the people that are running for governor now, you know, the three people who are most known by people, Attorney General Cuomo, Rick Lazio, and Carl Palladino, are all people who are talking about reforming Albany. I think if they're sincere about that, a request from a Republican Attorney General or a Democratic Attorney General, I don't think political party is going to matter. I think also people look at the Attorney General's office as the least political office of all the elected officials who run statewide, Liz. And I also think that people really believe in there should be a balance of power in our government, something we've been lacking for the last few years. So I think I don't think having a Democratic governor and a Republican Attorney General is going to matter that much if people are truly, truly sincere about wanting to make efforts towards reforming Albany.
You know, the five-way Democratic primary has gotten very heated of late, actually in some cases a little nasty with a lot of mudslinging. I'm just curious, which of those candidates do you think is the strongest, and would you prefer the least to have to face in November?
Well, you know, Liz, I think the people who are registered in the Democratic Party on September 14th will select who their candidate's going to be. When I was deciding whether or not to run this year for this position, and as you know, it's a significant pay cut for me, and I've already made a pledge to the people of the state of New York that I will not run for governor. In the Donovan administration, AG is not going to stand for aspiring governor. I've made a pledge that I will not run for governor as a sitting Attorney General. So I think come November, when we came up with a plan on should I run and how would we win, it never mattered to us who my opponent would be. That's something that's beyond my control. I have asked my campaign plan team to come up with a plan that we win no matter who the opponent is. So it never really mattered to us who the opponent is. We think we're going to have a strong enough campaign that we win regardless of who wins the September primary in the Democratic Party.
Well, Dan Donovan, it's nice to see you upstate. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again. I want to thank you very much for joining us.
Liz, thank you for having me. It was great to be with you.